Greetings, teammates, friends, faculty. I'm grateful for you coming today. My name is Jermaine Lockett, and we are going to find out how to control your life with one word. That one word today is no. There's so many times when people are trying to take away your manpower, your money, your time, all those resources that mean a lot to you. And you need to learn how to control your schedule before somebody else takes advantage of it. And today we're going to learn that through Greg McCown's book of No. So let's just jump right in. We're going to learn a couple things about today's sponsor, Simply Sweet, my experience with Yes, the pros and cons of that, the 8 ways to say no, which is really the meat and potatoes of what you're here for today. And then some case studies, some situations where yes and no may have worked. And we're going to wrap things up and I'll give you back your time because it's important to you. And that's kind of what we're talking about today is how you can control your time, your schedule with that power of no. So with that overview, and now that we know where we're going, the roadmap in place, let's go ahead and begin with today's sponsor. Today's sponsor, for those of you who are in Bellevue, if you scan that code on the screen, you'll be able to go to the Simply Sweet website where you'll be able to take advantage of a 50% off coupon for your next order with Simply Sweet. She does fantastic cupcakes, cake designs. We went to a party just yesterday where there was a Hogwarts type cake with wands on it. It was just beautiful. It was a house of Hufflepuff. And we were just grateful to be able to have Simply Sweet to be able to make such a wonderful cake for us. I want you to be able to take advantage of these offers. Please scan that coupon there and you'll be able to take advantage of the 50% off of your next purchase with Simply Sweet. So thank you, Simply Sweet, for sponsoring today's show. Let's move forward. Here we are with my experience with yes. When it comes to yes, there's so many great things that can happen. It opens doors sometimes. You get recognition because you stood up when nobody else didn't. When nobody else would stand up, you stood up. And therefore, that recognition may come into play. You may become popular because of the fact you're trying to make friends. You're trying to please people. It's an accommodation style by constantly saying yes. So with that accommodation comes friends. And then, of course, opportunities continue to come because, let's be honest, no good deed goes unpunished. Some people are going to come through and see like, hey, this is a great thing with this individual saying yes. Let's open some more doors and see what else they say yes to. So those are some good things that come with saying yes. But of course, with coming saying yes, there may be some bad things, such as task saturation. You continue to say yes, and people just compile it on, and they'll pile it on some more. And before you know it, you may have more than you can handle, and you may be overly task saturated. Then there's the lack of personal time. I learned as a leader in my job in the Air Force that as you continue to take on these tasks, that lack of personal time is key. There, it's gonna come into play. You end up stiff arming your kids, stiff arming your family because you have said yes so many times to different opportunities. And then as you continue to take on entirely too much, there's going to be the accuracy. How many things can you take on before you start to realize, okay, I need to speed up on these things? And then the products don't turn out right because you didn't pay attention to detail. And then, of course, you end up people label you as a people pleaser. And so they know that they're going to get a yes. So they're going to continue to come to you because you haven't said no yet. You hadn't respected yourself enough to say, hold up, give me a minute, or let me check my schedule, which is one of the tactics that we'll talk about today. And, eventually when people come to you and the products end up being bad or that your family gets stiff armed, there's going to be broken trust in time that you're going to be available to do certain things. So, this is just the bad things that can happen when you say yes. But we're not here for that today. We're here because we need to learn that powerful word of no. Let's move forward. So, the first way of the 8 ways to say no, that's where we're at right now, is the awkward pause. The awkward pause, it has to be mastered. It is a science. It is something that you really need to practice. And because we're so quick to want to respond to people. And there's situations where I've seen this happen when I used to be an instructor. We would hand out a little bit of instruction with vague instructions. We'd have a piece of paper and place it in the classroom And depending on the type of leaders in that classroom, we would have different scenarios. And one of these scenarios was it caused a great deal of silence because we didn't have like instant leaders in there. We had people that like to think about situations first, or some were just completely scared to act. But when I was instructing, if I was out there and nobody would answer my question, I'd just kind of sit there and wait. I would take control of the awkward silence. I would embrace it. I'd I'd own it because I know someone would get uncomfortable and fill that void. The reason being is because some people just can't stand the awkward pause. They cannot stand uncomfortable silences. It makes people feel just that much uncomfortable. And to prove that point, I'm going to take you to a website right quick, the scienceofpeople.com. Give me just a second here. I got to pull that up. Okay, I need to share my screen with you for just a second. All right, and now while we're waiting, if you're in the webinar, if you have any questions, please just go ahead and pop those in the chat, and we'll go ahead and talk it out. Okay. Well, it looks like at the moment I cannot share my screen, but I will make sure this is placed in the recording to where people can view the website of the scienceofpeople.com. Inside that site, the things I wanted to share with you was about awkward silence and to tell you what's going on with inside the brain. And it says, why does the brain overreact to silence? It says researchers trace this reaction back to our hunter-gatherer roots. At the time, rejection from community was incredibly dangerous for an individual. At the primal level, uncertainty of silence feels like rejection, or the fear of rejection leads people to panic. So what that means is if they're panicking, they're probably going to try and find someone else to fill the space where this problem may be at. They're trying to find a solution to their problem, whether it was time, money, or manpower, and you are sitting right in the middle of it, and they thought you were going to be that solution to that problem. And so, of course, you know, when you don't get the yes that you're looking for, you tend to panic because you're like, hey, I was banking on this individual to meet my need, to meet the problem, or to be the solution to the problem that I was having. And hang on, I'm going to share this with you right now. So, like I said, as you go through and you're able to look at this website here, it just talks about the things that we just discussed here. You see Patrick and SpongeBob here because they're in full on panic mode. This is our reaction to the individual who got the no in a passive type of way by using that awkward silence. And that awkward silence could be basically 2 to 3 seconds before you answer. You kind of giving that eye contact. You're internally thinking about it, but also they're sweating. They're sweating bullets because they came to you for that yes, and they didn't necessarily get it. All right, so with that, let's move on to our next way of saying no. But before we do, let's see if there's any questions in the webinar. Uh, my friend Living with Big Red says, "What's up?" And I think he's saying, "What are you selling?" All right, Reg said this is a professional assignment or webinar for class for helping people to gain the power of how to say no. So I thank you for joining in. And if anybody else has any questions, let's just get to it. So he did correct himself with what. If you want to stick around, feel free, man. This is only going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. And you may gain some tools that'll help you with your life. So let's move forward into the next slide. We have the soft no or the no but. So you got to explain. Sometimes somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, I need this done. I got to have this and I need you for this particular situation. You could give them your current priority. There's been many a times when I've asked for a kitchen pass, and while my wife didn't say no, she would explain what we had going on that evening. Oh, you know what? We have a painting class here, and your daughter has soccer lessons over here, and we also have violin lessons and this, that, and the other. So it kind of let me know that the schedule was kind of booked. She didn't say no, but she did explain what the priorities were for the family. And so because of that, I was able to recognize that this was clearly a no. And then there's the other piece of that, or the no but. She would explain all of these different things going on. My wife would, and say, "Hey, we have soccer practice for Kira, so it's a no, but you can hang out with the guys tomorrow because we have nothing going on. We're free. The schedule is available for you to be able to hang out with." So just giving the other option, shutting me down, but also giving the option. So think about that as you engage in those conversations with people that you come across. You can give them your priority, what's going on with your life, or you can give them a no, but an alternative option. So it leaves the door open for further negotiations, unlike a hard uh-uh or hard no, I'm not doing this. It tends to scare people off from inquiring as to what's going on. All right, let's move forward. Now that we have gone through number two, let's hit number three of ways to say no. The let me check my calendar and get back to you. I've seen this in smart, eloquent ways as well. Have had some people say, "Hey, let me check my Palm Palette." It's smart, aleck, but it also is kind of a way like I'm really not looking forward to saying yes to you. Yeah, tact is key, of course, when it comes to leadership. And if we're talking about teachers here, you're looking for that opportunity to let them know, like, legit, you have a calendar and you want to be able to squeeze them in, but that calendar of priorities, the things that you have set, come first. So tact is key. It allows reflection, allows you to not to immediately jump into something that when you're already committed to something else on your calendar. So set up a calendar on your phone or pull out your own little book, your calendar book, and then go through it before you're able to say that yes. That time frame between the question and the response could be considered that awkward pause where somebody else is thinking, okay, well, they have a schedule, they got a calendar, maybe I should go find somebody else. And it may be just enough to save you from having to do that task. It is kind of like a no. Excuse me. Gives you back control of your life. So if you have your schedule in place, make sure you have a schedule so that nobody else tries to put you on their schedule. And you won't be rushed into it. Yes. We got one more slide here. I'm going to go ahead and check out. Give me just 1 second here. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and place those into the chat. And I'll just wait to see if you got any questions. I know there's like an 8 second delay here because we definitely want you to take advantage of any questions that you have here, and we'll be able to answer those. Okay, if no one has any questions, we'll go ahead and jump into the website here in just 1 second. All right, here we go. So now we are at the medium.com. And what I want you to focus on is the section where it says good decision making involves a few key components. As far as adequate time to think through the opportunity and assess the positives and the negatives of the position, and then value for both parties to move forward, and then trust between everyone that's built through rapport. Because you want to build that trust. And what way can you build that trust? And letting them know the schedule. So if you say yes, and then all of a sudden there's something double booked on your calendar now, then of course that trust will be broken when you decide, who's the priority. Either the priority that you could previously set before you said yes, or the current priority that's sitting there now. So just remember that calendar is key. The calendar is very important for you to be able to take advantage of saying no and controlling your schedule the way you wish to. Let's move into number 4. Now that we talked about, let me check my calendar. All right, ways to say no. 8 ways to say no using email bounce back. So I don't know if y'all know about this. Is like the out of office replies. This kind of works for instructors or teachers that are on a podium. If you're currently teaching at that moment, you're stuck in the classroom with a bunch of students. You can't necessarily reply back to a teacher, and they're wondering if they're going to get a yes, or if they can't. If you're, I said, you can't reply back to a principal because they're wondering if they're going to get a yes or a no immediately. But if they get this email bounce back to say, hey, I'm currently on the podium between this time and this time, it also lets them know, like, okay, this is their current schedule. I may not be able to get a yes out of them right now. Maybe I should go look for somebody else to get that yes because maybe they don't have that email bounce back or that auto reply. Use those. It's a very, very key way of keeping people off of your schedule. Just another way of saying no. A tax key, make sure you're using a tactful message in your out of office replies. It may appear rude initially, but people will then start to realize this person has a schedule, they have a system. I need to respect this. And it helps the team to just recognize that schedule and they can work around it and find the holes within it and see where you can be available, or they'll just find somebody else. Like I said, if there's any questions by anybody, please answer them. Please ask them in the room, and we'll bring those comments up and place them on the chat here. Now that we're done with the email bounce backs, let's talk about number 5. When it comes to number 5, as far as saying yes, saying what should I deprioritize? This is one of those ones you use with your boss because the boss is probably giving you all these different priorities. And when it comes to priorities, there's really only one priority. When it comes to the word priorities, you got to think about it. It was made up by like advertisers back in the day. Well, I say interns for ad companies. They were trying to find ways to make more than one priority. But when it comes to priorities, there's only one priority. It's only the one thing that you can really focus on at that particular moment. Multitasking is a myth. Like even in computers, unless there's more than one processor, it can only process one thing at a time. It can go faster between those things, but humans, as we tend to go faster and speed up between things that we consider priorities, we tend to mess those things up. There can only be one thing you can concentrate on at a time to give that full attention to give your best at, because you try to split yourself between multiple things like an air traffic controller. They have tons of skills, don't get me wrong. As they split themselves and more distractions come into play, there's a tendency for mistakes to be made. And that's the same thing with us. We just got to figure out that there's one thing that we should prioritize. And as we explain that to our boss, be tactful. Like I said, tact is always key. But explain to them what your current priority is, because maybe that boss set that priority. And then they're trying to come through with another priority with this next ask. Try to figure out how to get that priority, or try to figure out which one is the most important, so that boss knows, like, hey, this is the one you set for me. This is our priority. This is the one I'm going to focus on. So I'm not going to focus on this other one until I get this one done. That way they know that your plate is full, and then maybe they can go find somebody else. It's just another good way of saying no. It gives the leader full transparency to what is on your plate, and it puts the ball back in their court to choose your priority. That is number 5 of say yes. What should I deprioritize? When it's really a no. Here's another one. This one kind of use it with coworkers, because you use it with your leadership a little bit too much. Unless they know your personality, you could be heading for some paperwork. You say it with humor, usually not used with your superiors. Just be like, no. Somebody else comes up, no, before they even get to their ass. Nope, not happening. I'm sorry. Nope, let me check my Palm Pilot. Yeah, all signs lead to no. Absolutely not. It allows them to respect your priorities while adding a laugh. While you're joking about it, but you're still serious. Of course, you can play the awkward pause as well. As soon as they come through with the ash, you just be like, no. And they might get nervous because of the awkward pause. You were jokingly but seriously saying it as well. It lets people know, like, all right, look, this person is not the one to mess with right now. Maybe I should go find someone else. Or you can find something witty to say within the midst of that. You choose your poison there. All right, here we are. Number 7. Now that we've talked about the humorous piece, let's talk about you are welcome to X. I am willing to Y. What does this mean? This establishes the boundaries. It allows you to show support, but limits your commitment. Or if somebody asks you to come to a volunteer activity, you say, okay, yes, I'm willing to help you sell fireworks, but I'm not willing to work those 2 hours that you're saying for everybody's being committed. If you want my services, I'm willing to work 30 minutes. It gives them a window that they can use you in, but it also allows you to respect your schedule. It's not exactly a full on no, but it makes them respect what you got going on, establishes those boundaries, what you're willing to do. Like, yeah, sure, I'm willing to help, but I'm only there for 30 minutes. Welcome to X, willing to Y. That is number 7. And your final way to say no out of the 8 ways to say no is the I can't do it, but somebody else might be interested. It's still a no, but it opens the door for someone else. Remember when we kept saying yes to all those opportunities? We may have been snatching opportunities from somebody else who really wanted it or was looking forward to getting asked about that opportunity. This opens a door for somebody else besides you. They just want a body sometimes. They don't really care about who that body is. They just need that body sometimes. So why not throw somebody else under the bus? As you see here, that's this visual of throwing somebody under the bus, but it really is just giving somebody a chance to get on that bus for that opportunity. So saying, I can't do it, but maybe Mathis may be interested in this opportunity, gives them an opportunity to be recognized because they're taking on this opportunity, even though it may look like a challenge. Every challenge presents an opportunity, and this is an opportunity for somebody else because obviously it wasn't one for you because you were looking at saying no to it. And that is the 8 ways to say no. I'm hoping you have some questions or concerns. Please let me know. And by the way, since you're here already in this webinar, go ahead and hit that like button and hit that subscribe. Occasionally, I have motivational thoughts in some of my shows, and you can take advantage of those and also take advantage of some Ravens talk. I'm just saying, a little shameless plug there. But I am excited for you to be able to be a part of this show. And I thank you all for coming through. And the best thing about being able to take control of your life is you're making people respect your schedule and respect you as a person. And you're doing that through taking the power out of their hands and placing it in yours with the powerful word of no. My name is Jermaine Lockett. It's been a presentation out of the book of Essentialism of the 8 Ways to Say No by Greg McCown. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I hope you take these things to heart. Please let me know if you have any comments or concerns or questions. Y'all take care. And also remember, please take advantage of Simply Sweet, the best cupcakes, the best cakes in Bellevue. Y'all take care. Peace.